All right, welcome to episode 2. This is the 2026 version of Mayor. I have Pauline here with me today. She is going to interview me about who I am today. And the purpose of this episode is to introduce myself, the current me, grounded, air quotes, self-aware, still growing, and where I am now. This is my anchor. So, Pauline, why don't you go ahead first and introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Meredith. It's been fun to see you launch this podcast and all the work that you're putting in. So thanks for letting me ask you some of the tough questions today. As you mentioned, my name is Pauline. I am a career and life coach. So much of what you've talked about so far I can understand and relate with your experience with transitions, with a huge proponent of fitness being a big aspect of your life, and then also my own transitions going from tech into life coaching and career coaching. So I'm excited to see what comes of our conversation today, and what all the new takeaways and learnings for myself and for some of the listeners.
All right. Well, let's dive right in. I want to first start by focusing in on what the intent is of what today's podcast is. So 3 things that I want you to focus on, and I want you as the listener to walk away with. So the first core theme is this did not happen overnight. So where I am today in 2026 looks a lot different than 2016. There's still a lot of similarities, which we'll go through, but I want to create a space where I'm authentically relating, and I'm not in this is a decade ago. That's not me today. There's still similarities. And that's the inspiration that I'm trying to get across. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that change is still in progress, not finished yet. And I think that's the cool thing about change, is that it happens every single day in everyone's life. And that's what we can relate on. And then the third is growth can be steady, and it's not super dramatic in one way or the other. It's small 1% daily tasks to get better.
That's awesome.
That's what I got.
I like that a lot. I like how these key themes, and I think this will be helpful for anyone if you can take one tidbit, and that 1% better every day, as you touched on, is super impactful when you look back on the growth year over year, day over day.
Yes. Yep.
Great. Well, I've got lots of questions lined up for you, Meredith, just to dive into that all a little bit deeper, and learning about this journey to get to where you are. One of my first questions for you is, paint us the picture of who is Meredith now in this season of life.
It's a really great question. So I think there's 2 different kind of schemes that I put out there. There's my friends who really know me, my friends, my family, and then there's my professional side of what do I portray on Instagram. So one thing, one of my clients, a few weeks back, he was like, you've got it all together. You've got it all figured out. You're doing all the things. And I was laughing, and I was like, oh my gosh, do people just think that like I'm so perfect? I do all the things. Like, that doesn't feel authentic to me. So I was like, really, I'm still going through change. I'm still working on things. I'm still growing. And I want to portray that message too, that right now, when you see on a Sunday, I'm going to the grocery store and I'm meal prepping and I do this whole spread, that I put in a lot of work to prioritize my time. And there's still areas that I'm growing, and that's where I want to relate to people and show up and kind of come to an alignment.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's you kind of putting it in 2 different buckets of the professional and also the friends. And when someone tells you perfect, you're like, well, this is growth. This is continuous improvement. So putting that kind of label can be challenging in some ways. And you're knowing that, it's not glamorous day to day, but that consistency is so beyond helpful.
Yes.
So when you think about this season, what really helps you make these decisions now as opposed to Meredith 10 years ago?
Well, I think it's the small things that really add up. And one thing that I try to encourage people when they're trying to change something in their life is we don't need to reinvent the wheel when we're trying to change an aspect. So if you want to run a marathon, if you want to lose 10 pounds, whatever your goal is, if you're in an unhealthy relationship and you need to start setting boundaries, there's so many aspects of change, of improving yourself, and really just focusing on the simple aspects of it to set you up for success. And I think about this at the end of each year when everyone's telling me their New Year's resolutions. And I'm like, okay, let's hear it. And then I encourage them. I'm like, well, is there any other way we could go about this? Maybe not a New Year's resolution. Let's do it consistently every single day. And what is that going to be? You want to read a book? You want to read 12 books next month? Okay, first of all, if it's December 23rd, can we just start December 23rd? Why are we waiting till January 1st to hop on the bandwagon? We know that's not how you build habits. That's not how you successfully change an aspect of your life. And that's what people don't really want to hear at the end of the year when they're setting their resolutions. So this is something I come back to with my clients every week. What are we working towards? What are we marching forward towards? And what's working and what can we adjust? Mm-hmm. And it's always this kind of accountability check-in of what's working, what can we readjust? And I'm sure there's a lot of things working each week, and I'm sure there's areas of improvement. So let's bridge that gap and let's just talk about it.
Yeah, and I like that a lot. And having a fitness coach as well as a life coach or a career coach and having that accountability can be so helpful for folks who are kind of feeling in a rut or want to see those change. But I think as you shared some of these New Year's resolutions, it just made me think of SMART goals. And people know SMART stands for specific, measurable, actionable,
realistic,
results, timely, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how helpful those are, really, when you make it really specific and doable. I would love to hear an example of a time where you implemented one of these very specific goals, maybe early on in kind of this transformational stage for you.
Yeah, I'll do a little self-reflection. I want to talk about one habit that I'm working on right now in terms of my own personal development, and then a habit that I've established that I am now on autopilot and I just do, and I'm not thinking, there's no mental capacity. So let's do the before and the now. So now a habit that I am working on, it's not a New Year's resolution, but I'm doing it consistently every day, is I'm meditating every day. And that is, I'm not perfect. Okay, let's just say that. I have my habit tracker. I'm looking at it. I didn't meditate last Monday. So 6 out of 7 days a week, did pretty good. And I do that consistently every single week. And I stare at this piece of paper every single day at my desk, and it's right there in my environment. I also talk about it a lot. I tell people I'm meditating. I tell people I am the type of person that meditates, and it actually works. It's crazy when you put it in your environment, make it pleasurable. The way I do that is I have my little hand lotion right next to my desk so that I can do something that I feel kind of is like spy-y, because I don't want to meditate. I don't want to sit down and close my eyes for 15 to 20 minutes, but I know it's good for me, and I know it really helps calm the mind, especially in times of change, which right now I'm going through a lot of change. So slowing down and focus, that's the key word for me.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm connecting the dots here a little bit, it sounds like during this time of transition, a lot going on, you have seen that meditation really helps you stay centered, stay grounded, and just calm the thoughts and kind of pushing away any of the loud noises that are constantly coming up in your day to day and find that quiet time. What have you found so far as a result of this daily practice? What have you found helpful?
Yes. So, I don't necessarily feel it in the moment. However, so it's not that instant gratification of you're going for a run and now you have a runner's high and you get that immediately. And I think what's really beneficial about meditating is it's a hard reset. No matter what's going on around you, no matter if you're traveling, I still meditate. If there is no day that it doesn't happen, because when it doesn't happen, then you start to fall off track. And then one piece of advice that I found extremely helpful is if you fall off track, life will happen. You will. There will be days you don't. Never let 2 days go by with missing that habit that you're trying to establish. So people, when they talk about establishing new habits, some people say 10,000 hours. Some people say you have to do it consistently for 3 months. I would make it even simpler than that and just say, get it done every day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah. And I think just that consistency helps over time. What would you say for folks is me thinking, I need to meditate every single day? It kind of feels like a burden on my shoulders of signing up to do this every day. That feels like a lot. What would you tell folks if that was the scenario that was going in their head?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the way that I'm establishing this new habit is I don't put a time around it. So it's not, I'm going to meditate every day at 3 to 4 p.m. because inevitably I have to take the dog to the vet. And then that was at 3 to 4, so now it doesn't happen. So I don't put a time around it. And then I stack the habit that I'm trying to build with something I already do. I brush my teeth every single morning. I don't know what time. Maybe tomorrow it'll be 5:30 in the morning. Maybe on a Saturday it'll be 7:30. I know I will get it done. So building what is a habit that you do every single day. Okay, let's stack it. Put it next to a habit you already do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we love habit stacking. I think it's an efficient way to just add on one different thing that is important to you of what you're already doing, right? Hopefully we're going to brush our teeth, right? And that's an easy slam dunk. Yes, we're going to refill our water bottle at some point, right? What do you have near that you can kind of just, without even putting too much thought into it, to really make it easy and streamlined?
Right. And I think kind of how I was saying in the very beginning, we need to make this as simple as possible. We need to have your water sitting right there at your desk so that you drink it, because we're on a call right now for 2 hours. Well, I'm not going to end this interview, this very important interview, to go fill up my water. I have it right here. So it's what is in your environment. I have my water. I have my walking pad below me. I have a Swiss ball. That's my chair that I sit on. I have my standing desk up right now. These are all things in my environment that I have set up at my desk so that I'm standing during the call. Or I'm walking while I'm on Instagram doing marketing for Ranger. Really important thing. But I think I try to work with my clients on free time, because we all have a lot of free time and we do need time to unwind. We do need time to scroll or to watch TV or to whatever your reset is in between an activity, or just you need to shut your mind off. Are there ways during those free times we can incorporate, maybe instead of you scrolling on the couch, you scroll on the walking pad and walk for 30 minutes? You're probably already on TikTok if you're seeing this video right now. Well, what could you be doing?
That's great. And those little changes, and and from standing to water to all the different habits that you've shifted. I'm curious in learning a little bit, what feels most different to you today compared to past versions? As I imagine the walking desk wasn't, and the standing desk wasn't as popular back 10 years ago. So what feels most different to you today?
I think so much. I'm like, I don't even know where to start. Also, from a relating perspective, though, let me start with what feels similar. Because where I was, I still have a lot of aspects of where I was 10 years ago that I want to convey, even though I'm not there now. So I think what feels similar, first of all, my energy has not not changed. I think I've even gotten more energetic, which is hard to imagine.
That's
But my
impressive.
energy, yeah. Well, it's amazing when you take care of yourself and you are sleeping and you're prioritizing sleep. You're prioritizing your diet, you're prioritizing exercise, you're prioritizing your mental health. You're going to feel a whole lot better every day. I feel better. I feel more confident. I feel good. It there's a lot of little things that lead up to feeling this way. And I've done it all. I've done all the things. I've tried all of the things and I found what works for me. And when I think of trying to inspire my clients and give them some ideas to think about, I break it down to meet them where they're at. So if you have 3 kids, I can't relate to you on that. If you work this 60-hour work week, I cannot relate to you on that. I can relate to you on, oh gosh, on how I spend my free time though. And I know you have super limited free time. I have a lot of free time. I just choose to do things consistently. So my systems are in place and I it's my mindset where it's going to happen. I think it's a mindset shift and it's also a maturity and a growth. I'm 30 now, so when you're 20, I was in college, so I wasn't taking care of myself and I didn't have my priorities set straight. Um, I did not use my free time well. Um, but then I was sick and tired of it. I was like, all right, I'm over it. This is not working. We're we're doing a 180 now.
So it sounds like some of this mindset shift was that you just were sick and tired. Like it maybe a collection of moments. I know from maybe some of our previous conversations, like there wasn't one pivotal rock bottom or situation that happened to get to this point, but a collection of them. What would you tell Meredith 10 years ago, your 20-year-old self, what you know now?
Hmm. That's a great question. What would I tell Meredith? I'll repeat myself a little bit right now. I think once you start to feel better, once you start to see results, everything just kind of can snowball effect and lead to a great change. And I was not taking care of myself, so I wasn't happy. I wasn't confident, even though I was having fun. I didn't feel good. I was not eating well, I was partying, I was up late, I was exhausted, I was tired, it's so dysregulating. And when you do that multiple times a week, it's dysregulating. I'm plain and simple. And when you start to do some activity. You don't have to run a marathon. You can start by walking every day. Get outside and walk in the sunshine. And then you start to feel better. And then I got more interested in nutrition, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna hire a nutritionist. And I would say this is my personality, so I don't always recommend this depending on the client. My personality, I do well with tracking. So I like things visual. I like to check the box. I tracked my macros. I tracked what I was intaking. And there's multiple different ways you can track. You can track using a fitness tracker. You can track with a piece of paper. You can track on your phone. There's tons of apps. They're unlimited. There's unlimited ways you can track. And what I found over the course of 10 years of, again, what works for me might not work for you. But let's talk about the 10 different ways you could track something if you don't want to weigh your food, or if you don't want to put it into an app. Okay, well, let's talk about other ways. Let's use your plate and let's talk about building it out using portion sizes of your hand. Or can you track for just 3 days, just so you can start to understand portion sizes, so you know what does 20 grams of protein look like. And then if I can get their buy-in for 3 days, then I'm like, okay, great. You don't have to track anymore. This doesn't have to become this whole negative thing. I just want you to be aware of what does 20 ounces of a chicken breast look like. You might not have any idea. And then once you see it, you're like, oh, okay, I got it. I can do this. Great. Then next week, we're going to continue talking about protein. What are your protein sources? Peanut butter is not your protein source. That's a fat. There's nothing wrong. Oh my gosh, kills me. When people tell me they're like,
butter.
someone's going to say, oh, Meredith said we can't eat peanut butter. No, I didn't. I said it was a fat, and you need fat. But one of my clients, she said to me, carbs are bad. How do you have a burger bucket list? And I love when my clients bring to me this information, because I take that as an opportunity to share with them, just in simple forms, what are fats, what are carbs, and what are proteins. And it's one of my favorite conversations to have with people, because there's so much misinformation out there, and carbs are bad, fats are bad. No, they're actually not. They're necessary.
Yeah. So it sounds a little bit, without going more into our nutrition, and I know you're such an expert of knowledge in the nutrition space, but it's hard to still compromise peanut butter. We all love peanut butter and the salty sweet, but yes, I can understand that it can be considered in the fat, even though we want it to be a protein. But it sounds a little bit, to connect some dots here, is to tie it into the nutrition, is finding the systems that work for you. Was there a time in your career where you implemented a new process and that was helpful? How did you keep that accountability when you were training for, or in school, or getting a credential or certification? What helped you set that up for success? And some of those systems in place can be applicable to other aspects in your life, such as nutrition.
Yes. It's a great question. So I guess when I think of change, that's the owning your change. I've been reflecting this last week on all the times I actually have changed and how I've done it successfully. And I made a big shift. So 2016, I'm 185 pounds. Now I walk around at 130. Done that consistently for 7 years. A lot of change went into that. When I think of changing in careers, after graduating college, worked at Industrious, which is a co-working company, and I did hospitality for them, some sales, some operations, and oh gosh, that's so obnoxious. And then I made a whole new shift, and I started over, and I went and got my personal training certification. And then I quit working at Industrious, my corporate America job, and dove right in and became a personal trainer. And now I've been doing that since 2020. So I have changed big aspects of my life. Um, and here I am again in another really big change, a really exciting one, which will be what my future looks, or Mike and our future looks like after he graduates. So I'm in this cycle of change again. And what I find interesting is I have the systems in place that I do work out every day, or not every day, 5 to 6 days a week. And I do meditate, and I do meal prep, and I do make sourdough because I have systems in place that have put me in this trajectory.
And when thinking back to 20-year-old self, Meredith, these systems weren't in place. So approaching this new change, you know that so much of your stability, and you mentioned happiness, and that feeling good is helpful because of this, what you have in place already. And so approaching this change in this new and exciting time, will feel you can focus on the things and have the energy to do what you want to do. We are almost at time here, so I do want to call out one more question. Is thinking for listeners on how they define success, and how you have found success in the day-to-day to the mundane. What tips would you have for them?
I think as I go through this change myself right now, I think about my support system and who I talk to. A lot of clients, I talk to a lot of family and a lot of friends, and I'm like a sponge and I take it all in. And sometimes you don't need everyone's opinion, and sometimes it can be beneficial to get support from people that have either done it, are going through it, and are supportive of your decision. So if you want to run a marathon, what that could look like is you join a running group and you're with like-minded people that are all doing it together. And there's going to be days you don't want to show up and do your 20-mile run. But when you're part of a community and you're all doing the same thing, even if some of you guys don't want to do it, you're like, you know what, we have the buy-in, we're doing the marathon, I'm showing up because I'm a part of something. And I find support is huge. I think support is invaluable. I think it's great to ask for support. I have asked for, when I signed up for my first triathlon, I hired a swim coach, and I just figured it out and I got it done. And I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I never swam. So let me talk to someone who does it better and let me learn from the best. Yeah. So I think similarly how I reached out to you and I hired you. I'm going through a transition, didn't know what that was going to look like. I wanted to get support. You right now are living in Asia, so you've gone through this, and that's the relation and the perspective you can get from others can be very helpful in times of change.
Yeah. And change is hard, and change can be hard for the person making the change, but can also be hard for the community around you that is seeing your own change unfold. And maybe they had different ideas of what that change was going to look like for you, or always envisioned, mom always envisioned me living down the street, not 8,000 miles away. And that can be hard to grasp for a lot of folks. But leaning on the support systems, whether it's leaning from past experiences, it sounds like, hiring someone who's done a triathlon before and knows where to start, and just having that bond can be very helpful as you make these big steps. Well, I'm very excited for what's to come for you, Meredith. Any final thoughts as we wrap up our conversation today?
What is your main takeaway from what we've discussed?
Ooh, putting the question back on me. I like that. My little jots of notes here just to pull on some of these key themes. I think I visualize a lot of what you said as a snowball. Not to hate on how cold it probably is in Chicago right now and how warm it is in Singapore, but thinking about just a snowball. And that snowball can continue to get bigger and bigger and more powerful, and then you build a whole entire snowman. I think that's the visual that's coming to mind. And it doesn't happen overnight. It is continuous, and it continues to build, and it can be as big of a snowman as you may want. And you keep on adding, the carrot nose, and then next thing you know, you got peanut butter on the carrot. Who knows, right? It is. I think the key takeaway for me is let it happen naturally. These changes happen naturally, as they have for you, and let them compound and celebrate that success. Whether it's just keeping track of achievements year over year, and when you can look back at 20-year-old Meredith and where she is now, like, kudos to you. It is remarkable just to see the change that you have done. I haven't known you the last 10 years, but for the time I have known, it's been an inspiration to see your own growth, and how you continue to push others and encourage others and support others on how they can make this change. So those are some of the key takeaways, and helpful just to hear your story, and encourages my own growth as I think about some of these daily habits I have as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it's all about. My friends will tell me, they'll be like, "Oh, it's so inspiring. You're going to be moving, and you're already networking with 3 people down," and they're like, "This is inspiring me." Now I have a friend who just moved, and she's like, "I need to put myself out there. I need to start doing whatever." And I think that's what I love. That is my mission, is to help people. So whether that's in your personal, your business, your relational, if you are trying to build a new habit, let's talk and reach out to me. Let's make it as simple as possible for you and set you up for success.
Yeah,
because it's possible.
Anything's possible. Just taking those first few steps can lead to so much.
Yep. That's right.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been fun to talk, and looking forward to hearing future podcasts and maybe potential future collaborations together too.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Bye, Pauline.
Bye.
Okay. Can you hear me?